Tillage is regenerative. After 5 years of farming on this farm, thousands of acres covered, and several customers completely satisfied with the way that we are able to do things, I can wholeheartedly say that tillage is regenerative, and I'm gonna prove it to you. So let's get into it. My name is Jesse. This is American Beef Ranch. We're a 750 acre organic regenerative farm in South Central Idaho. We do beef, we do chickens, we do row crops. We do lots of things, but the main thing we're trying to do is grow as much healthy food as humanly possible, but then leave the soil in a lot better state than what we got it in. That's what our goal is. That's what we're trying to do. So let's talk about how tillage is regenerative. And I know just by the title of the video, this is going to infuriate people. There is people that are like full on, never till, hardly ever till, don't do any kind of tillage, do very little tillage. And I'm here to say, if you can pull that off, that's wonderful. But if you can't pull it off, then you're gonna lose money. And this field behind me is a perfect example of what happens when something needs to be tilled and it's not tilled properly. Because there is proper tillage, there's excessive tillage, and there's just tillage for the sake of tillage, which those are all different things, and those are all lead you down different paths, whether it is destructive or constructive. So we have to figure out, and we have to dissect all of those for you guys to figure out what is best for your operation and how to make the tillage that we do have to do, because we have to do tillage in production agriculture, how we make that into a constructive thing. It's pretty easy to give tillage a bad name. I mean, most generally, tillage in general right now is pretty destructive. You just till things a certain way because it's the way you've always done it, and there is no method to really improve upon that. So we thought it destroys the soil biology, it destroys the soil structure, it creates havoc, it makes the soil dry out faster, it leaves the soil open for erosion. It can create a lot of problems, and some people think that tillage is directly related to what caused the Dust Bowl, and that could be true, but it also could be false. And because we are in modern agriculture and we have modern tools, we have ways to determine how to make tillage work for us and not work against us, or not work against Mother Nature. Because in the ideal world, us as regenerative farmers, we're able to over time slowly increase our soil, or as quickly as possible increase our soil quality, so we can put less in but get the same amount or more out. That means more dollars in our pockets, and in the long term that means better prices for the consumers, and obviously a lot more sustainable product. If you're still watching to this point, you're probably going to watch long enough to figure out what my actual point is. We have the tools to determine the right kind of tillage for our farm. We have soil tests, we have soil penetrometers to determine what kind of compaction we have, and we have mineral nutrition that can go in and help keep us going back to the same tillage over and over again. And so that over time, as our soils improve, we can change how we do tillage and slowly reduce the tillage over time, because tillage can be destructive. And if you're doing it in a way that is destructive, you're going to get poor results. But if you're doing it in a way that's constructive, you're going to be positive. The number one way to do that is the soil beneath our feet needs 25% oxygen. If you have compaction or compaction layers, that soil does not have enough oxygen in it. And if it doesn't have enough oxygen, that means the microbes can't do their job properly. That means your fertilizer efficiency is going to go down. That means you're going to have to put extra on there. And that means you're going to spend more money. So there's two things that you can do really simply to determine what kind of tillage is right for you. First off is a soil test. And the reason I say a soil test is because that soil test is going to determine the quality of your soil. If your soil is overall pretty high quality, you should be able to get away with less tillage. You should be able to not do as much. You should be able to just really specifically find those compaction layers, break certain compaction layers with certain kinds of tillage without disturbing as much, being able to keep that soil health really high so you don't burn out the carbon in the soil. The other aspect you look at is soils like we have out here in southern Idaho. Typically we have pretty low organic matter soils, and overall on paper they're just not very good. There's a lot of room for improvement. That's where we have a need to know our soil tests, but also know the kind of compaction that we have. So this is a penetrometer. I'm not going to explain it super hard. It basically will show you pressure or surface tension in the soil, and if you get over a certain level, 300 psi, that far down, then that's where roots quit working, microbes don't work, and really the soil system just stops. And that's all I'm going to say about the penetrometer. You guys can check out other videos about that. I will put those in links in the description for you. So like for instance, in our farm, I'm going to test the kind of compaction layers I have with my soil penetrometer. I know right now for me, we have a lot of improvement to do. We need more carbon in our soils. We need more things like that. So for me, getting this residue buried underneath the ground so it can break down is going to be super important after our cows graze what's left in here. I'm also seeing certain weeds. I'm seeing big taprooted plants. I'm seeing a lot of morning glory. So I know right away that like I'm calcium deficient, and there's other nutrients with those big taprooted plants that the weeds are trying to bring up and open up the top of the soil. So I know my soil is tight just by looking at the weeds. I've confirmed that with my soil penetrometer, and then I've also confirmed that my soil is in poor shape based off my soil test. And so then I build a plan. And for us, that would be putting residue underneath the ground and then planting a cover crop when we're able to. Now, there's also times where you would work the ground and then apply like soluble calcium and sugar to the top of the soil and just let it sit over winter. Now, yes, there does come some risks of soil erosion with that, but sometimes it's the best tool, and you have to determine for yourself if you should be able to use that. On top of that, for me, I need to get more carbon in the ground. These stalks and all this residue needs to go underneath and be able to break down, but I also need to put it low enough and make sure I'm breaking the compaction layers at the same time. So for me, I'm gonna use a plow to put this below. Why? Number one, my soil, this soil in this field particularly, when we got it leased this year, we were late getting started. We weren't able to do the proper tillage to get it prepared. Now, I know the history of this field. This field was continually grazed for 20 years. And just like tillage can create and destroy, cow hooves are tillage, and they can create and destroy. If they're on a piece of ground continually grazed for 20 years, just like this was, the ground's super hard and super compacted. And the best tool to improve that quickly is tillage, but not just any tillage, because I did a shallow tillage patch just to get a seed bed ready. And now you can see what I have here. Super high compacted ground, 1.5 inches down. And the corn crop was not very good here. It just was not. The only spots the corn crop were good is where we had an alfalfa field interfering with the corn ground, and that ground was a little more mellow, and obviously we had some nitrogen fixing going on there, but that soil system was working better than most of this field. So now that I have my plan together for what I'm trying to do, and I know that I'm gonna have to do a little more tillage, I'm gonna determine my type of tillage based off the kind of compaction that I have, whether full profile compaction where you need a moldboard plow to open that up, whether you're trying to do less tillage but you have layers of compaction, that's maybe where you use an inline ripper to go into the ground, disturb less, and just lift and fracture the ground, versus like a deep river where you may have a lot of compaction layers and you're trying to mix in residue. And then you may just go with a shallow cultivation passive, like, look, I really don't have any compaction layers, but I'm not happy with my soil quality, I need to get more carbon in the ground, I need to bury this residue. That may be where an intensive cultivation pass may be the best option for you. I'm not saying you have to do what I do or do anything remotely close to what I do, but what I am saying is that tillage without testing is a bad idea. You should be able to use a soil test, use a compaction meter like this soil penetrometer, which is relatively inexpensive. This is 200 bucks. And so this will give you a lot of insight, and it can really help you dial in your tillage, because if your tillage plan is exact, and then your fertility plan is exact, and then your planting exact, you're cultivating, and your whatever else you're doing, if you're trying to nail down everything you can do, the low-hanging fruit, that's only going to up your average on your farm. So if you can break those compaction layers, let the soil breathe, let it do its job, and then put back proper nutrients like soluble calcium and sugar, which that calcium is what helps give the soil structure, and the sugar is a little food for the bugs. And if you want some calcium, you can contact me and I can get you some. Link will be in the description. But there's 1,000 different ways to go about tillage. And I'm here to say that tillage is not the enemy. The enemy is tillage without testing. Tillage without reason, tillage without a plan, tillage without knowing what you're working with. If somebody pulls up on the road and says, oh, hey, yeah, we'll just run the high-speed disc over it and be done, they don't even get out of their pickup, that could be a problem. Because just like this field behind me, you could hit 300 pounds of pressure 1.5 inches in the ground, and your roots won't penetrate that, your bugs are not going to work below that, and you're going to be in a world of hurt. Financially, you're not going to see the return, and you know, your soil is going to suffer. That is one more season that you've put yourself behind because you didn't take the steps today to do the proper tillage, so tomorrow you can do less of it. Here's the deal. If you're gonna do tillage, which you should probably do tillage, if you got compaction, test for it. Once you figure it out, make a plan and go with it. God bless, have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time on American Beef Ranch.